Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to a brand new YouTube video. The time is now 6:21 AM on Tuesday 2nd September. Obviously, it goes without saying that I wouldn't normally film on a random Tuesday, but I was away for the weekend seeing a couple of my close friends, so I didn't really get a chance to, didn't want to film while I was away. So we're filming today instead, hopefully be uploaded tomorrow. And in today's video, I'm spilling the tea. I am sharing my secrets. It's not exactly often that the topic comes up, but a common theme that, comes up every now and then is that I do seem to get asked every now and then how I stay motivated, how I stay disciplined and regimented, and how I just do what I do, because it kind of is a lot. And what can I say, guys? It's not easy being this hardworking and this handsome. I'm just kidding. In today's video, I'm going to share with you how I stay locked in. I feel like it is something a lot of people kind of struggle with, to kind of like do what needs to be done. A lot of people know what they need to do to move forward or to get what they want to achieve, but they just can't bring themselves to do it. So I'm going to share my take on that today. It's going to be a good time. I hope you're excited. Make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. Sit back, relax, enjoy, and let's get into this one. And first thing on the agenda, let's get to the gym. Alright, so we are going ahead and recording a little voiceover for today's workout. Now, you've probably seen me film a few times in the gym across the channel, and they play great music in there. However, it's just not conducive towards me filming in there, because there's been a couple of times now where I've uploaded a video and I've been copyright stricken by the YouTube mods, and I've had to go back, re-edit the video, put my own music or whatever over it, and then re-upload it. So it's just a bit of a faff. So in the best interest of this video, because I wanted to show you the workout anyways, we are going ahead and doing a voiceover, because that's the most efficient way. So here we are. The purpose of today's session was to test out deadlift, because you sort of, I can't remember, 2 or 3 videos ago, I went ahead and got my spine realigned because something definitely wasn't right. And the thing is, essentially when I get that done, I've had it done a few times now, I do have to go in and kind of like, not start from scratch, but be very careful with how I load the spine once I've had that procedure done. Also, during that spinal realignment session, you might remember that Marcus highlighted a few issues with my shoulders and my pecs and how tight they were, and he recommended some very specific exercises to make sure that I'm loose, make sure I'm mobile, and hopefully I don't run into any such problems again. I've been true to my word. I've been doing those exercises every session. I did them before these deadlifts today as well, but I didn't bother filming them because, let's be honest, it's just some basic rehab work with like 2 kilo dumbbells being rotated in a very weird way and no one cares, so didn't bother filming that. But deadlifts, they did actually feel really good today. Essentially my objective from them today was to make sure that I was very slow and very deliberate. As you can see, I worked up from 60 to 80 kilos here. Everything's feeling good. Doing this completely beltless. I wouldn't normally put a belt on until around 140 kilos anyways, but in the interest of making sure that I feel things very deliberately and very slowly and very kind of profoundly, no belt, making sure that I keep my reps really tight, making sure that I feel it where I want to feel it, around the L5 region, lower back. So the erectors in the lower back, I really want to make sure I feel it there. Really wanted to make sure that I was really sitting into the deadlift before lifting and making sure that I engage my hamstrings. Because for me, in this movement, the hamstrings are really where I get the most power from. The original plan was only to go up to 100 kilos, but things were moving well, and there was also no 10 kilo plates where I wanted them. So I just stuck some 15s on, 110 kilos, and I think I did 3 sets of 5. And honestly, it felt great. It felt like everything felt how it should have felt. I think when you're deadlifting, there are too many nuances for one person to do them exactly the same as another person. Let's be honest, people have different ranges of mobility in their hips, hamstrings, in their glutes, in their calves, in their lower back. Different levels of flexibility and mobility across so many different areas, which can affect how one person deadlifts compared to another. Other things like limb length have an effect on it too. So I think you get to a stage when you've done thousands of reps of deadlifts, you know how it should feel, and I'm pretty sure I'm at a stage where I know how it should feel. So I'm just glad that things felt good in this session. I'm definitely feeling like I can push up the weights, but I know that at this stage I just need to get plenty of reps in, so that was the main focus of today. I'm still clinging on to hope that someday soon I might be able to rip 200 kilos plus off the ground for reps, because that's where I was at the peak of my powers, and I know that some years have passed since then, probably I want to say like 3 or 4 years have passed since those days. But it's still a pipe dream of mine. I'm still going to work towards it, and we'll see what we can do over the next year or two if I'm just very careful and very calculated with how I lift. After deadlifts, I just went straight onto one of my new favourite upper back exercises, and that is a dumbbell bent over row. I've always been a barbell guy, but I think since I've been at this gym, Unit 7, like we do a lot of single arm work, we do a lot of unilateral work. So I'm doing my best to embrace that and make sure that I, keep that in my own training, not just the group sessions that I partake in. Started out with some light ones. I think it was like 10 kilos just to warm up. Then I moved on to, I think these are the 25s. And then after this, I moved up to the 30s, which is the heaviest iron dumbbell that they have in the gym anyways. Really happy with how they're moving. I think I did 3 sets of 8 of the heaviest weight here, so very happy with that. There are a few rubber dumbbells that go heavier than 30 kilos, and I think I'm definitely ready to take care of those afterwards. I mean, I worked with a 30 kilo dumbbell today. I think I've easily got a 35 in there, so we'll see what happens next session. Should probably add as well, by the way, the only real objective of the entire session today was just to go in and do the shoulder rehab and deadlifts. But once I finished them, I just didn't want to leave the gym, so I thought, why not just do a bit more back work and then do a bit of bicep work, because let's be honest, why would you go to the gym and not do some biceps at least? I also don't want to jinx anything, but I can't lie, since I've had that realignment and I've been really focusing on the rehab work and the exercises that it gave me, I feel like the push movements are starting to feel a little bit better, but I don't want to jinx myself, so let's leave it at that. And we'll see what happens when I actually do my next push workout, which is Thursday, that's right, Thursday. Anyways, keeping it really simple for biceps as well, just 2 exercises, this seated bicep curl, making sure that I focus on flexing the tricep at the bottom of the rep so I get a full extension. I'm really focusing on turning my pinky inwards. Sounds really weird to explain, but you'll see what I mean. If you do the curl and you try to twist your pinky into your body as much as you can, you'll feel just an extra kind of like squeeze in the bicep. So this is a great exercise, and then I just follow this with some 21s as well. Now I will say though, during this exercise, I mean, these are the 15 kilo dumbbells. I used to be able to do 3 or 4 sets of like 8 to 10 on these. I'm really struggling at the minute, and I can't lie, I am definitely a lot lighter than I was at the start of this year. I think I've lost about 9 kilos so far this year, so my body weight is definitely down. However, I've always said, you might have heard me say on the channel as well, I don't really think that strength should go down that much in the early stages of the cut, but then again, I've been in a calorie deficit for quite a long time now, since I want to say around March. And it's been a light deficit, nothing that I can't handle, and certainly nothing that's making me unhappy with my food or whatever. But I think it's quite clear now, and it's been quite clear recently, that my strength is starting to dip a little bit because I'm really struggling with these dumbbells. In fact, I ended up going down to the 12.5 kilo dumbbells, so strength is probably not quite where I would like it to be, but it is what it is. I'm much preferring being a bit leaner, and I still want to shed a few more kilos. I'll explain why later on in this video. But yeah, overall, solid workout. I think the whole thing took me around an hour total, probably around like 50 minutes to an hour. Happy with what I did. The most important thing is that deadlifts felt great, and I got a bicep pump on, so that's also fantastic. And that was the workout complete. I am really happy with the progress I've made on my physique in general this year. I joined this gym in January knowing that I was probably getting a little bit too stiff and unfit just by doing straight bodybuilding, so I needed to do something. And well, for starters, I've just really enjoyed being in this gym and having this new kind of like style of training. I think it's definitely good for me. I feel the fittest I've felt probably ever, if I'm honest with you. Actually, maybe not ever, but I'm definitely on my way there. So much so that I joined the Unit 7 Summer Games, which are happening later on in September. I'll tell you more about that as and when, because to be honest, at this stage, I don't really know too much about it myself. But one of the owners, Ash, was kind of trying to wangle me in, and I was kind of saying no at first. But I thought, if I'm going to really get involved in the gym community here, I should really get involved in some of these events. So I've got involved. I think it's going to be something similar to a High Rocks, or like a kind of pairs-based thing. I've got one of the 6 AM crew as a pair with me, and I know that he's an absolute beast. So who knows what we'll do? We're just going to show up and do our best. I'm not sure if we'll get anywhere close to winning. I don't know if you're supposed to win these events, if that's a thing. But either way, we're just gonna turn up and do our best. So hope you've enjoyed this workout, and let's carry on with the rest of the video. By the way, guys, you remember the dent? Well, I cannot believe I'm saying this, but I told you I reached out to this guy called the Dent Genie. Bit of a weird name, but I thought, let's roll with this. So I sent him a message, sent him a few photos of the damage, and he gave me this really low quote to fix the work. He was like, it'll cost 90 quid to get that done, and I was like, that seems suspiciously low. I was certain that the paint would need touching up and like colour matching and everything, but I thought let's give this a try. If it doesn't work out, I'll just go somewhere else. So he came over and he spent about an hour in the car, and I cannot quite believe I'm saying this, but it is completely gone, and it literally looks like nothing was ever there. When he did the work on the car and he called me outside to check if I was happy with it, I was like, dude, literally, where was the dent? I mean, look at this. Do you remember it was somewhere around this area? I'll put a picture on the screen so you can like see where it was, but like I can't see where any paint has been touched in. I can't see where any dent was. This guy literally was a genie. I don't know how he's done this. Like all week I've been thinking to myself, how on earth, well I say all week, it's been like 3 days. How has this guy done this? I cannot believe it. Genuinely cannot believe it. Like where was it? It's gone. Alright, so gym is done, I'm showered, I went to the office to put a few hours in on the laptop. Time is now 5:41 in the evening. I've got to leave football at 6:30. So that leaves me with a decent window of time to explain to you exactly how I stay locked in. I've just put these on a tripod to save my arm, but by far the biggest thing that I can say about staying locked in is that it really does come down to something I've spoken about in a previous video, and that is, what exactly do you want your life to look like, and what is it that you're trying to achieve? And I'm going to use myself as an example because it's just easy for me to explain. At this stage, if you've been watching my videos for any length of time, you can probably get an idea of what interests me and what I really want my life to look like. You know, I like to go to the gym, you know, I like to play paddle, you know, I like to cook good food, you know, I like to eat good food, you know, I've got an interest in fashion, you know, I like making content, you know, I enjoy my career, you know, I enjoy being sociable and seeing my friends and playing sports. That is what I want my life to look like. So the way I see it, my job is to make sure that I integrate all of that into my life as much as I can. That to me is an enjoyable life. So the question from there is, how do I integrate those into my life? And this is where it becomes about systems, processes, routine, time management, prioritizing tasks. So gym is a simple one for me. I always make sure that I get out the way pretty much first thing in the morning every day. That leaves my evening free for other activities, for example, sports or socializing. Paddle, I've got myself a coach, so I know I've got minimum 1 session per week. And the task I've set myself around that is to just go and play Atomic and find 2 open matches a week to play. Football is a routine thing, Tuesday 7 p.m. That's just in my calendar there. And we'll just stick with those examples for now. They are just in my calendar by default. That is just a routine part of my week. Those are things that I like to do, so I want them to be frequently in my calendar. So once those things are there scheduled, it's not really a case of locking in even, it's just a case of doing what needs to be done, making sure that I'm up in time to go for an early workout, making sure that I am taking the initiative to schedule paddle sessions in. If you clicked on this video and were expecting me to talk about things like caffeine, biohacking, breathing exercises, productivity hacks, I'm afraid you're very much mistaken. Don't get me wrong, I love coffee and I love new tonic, but do those things help me stay locked in? No, they really don't. In fact, they are just things that I enjoy. What really keeps me locked in is knowing that if I don't do the things that I love on a day-to-day basis, that's just not a life that I want to live, plainly and simply. But essentially what I'm saying is, you've got to live your life in accordance to what you're trying to achieve. Your actions have to align with your intentions. Here's where I can give you some different examples. One of my intentions is to try living abroad for a little while. To be honest with you, I would love to move to Spain or Portugal. I like my lifestyle how it is now, but don't get me wrong, I would like to have a nicer climate, and I would also like to be surrounded by more content creators. And for me, those 2 locations seem like they fit the bill very well for me. So that's the intention, but what's the action? What's it gonna take for me to get there? There's a couple of things I'm considering. Maybe I can take a sabbatical from work, but what I prefer to do is to keep making great content, build this channel organically, and have the freedom to be able to run it from wherever I want to be. So if you could do me a favor and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and help me get on the creator program, that'll be fantastic. And another intention of mine, you might have noticed that whenever I show you my phone background, it's always this little guy who I miss more than just about anything. It's devastating that life just happened how it did, and unfortunately he's no longer mine. But that is something that I definitely want to change at some stage. That's the intention. So the action is, there are a few dog shelters around Liverpool, and I've been reaching out to them to try and, you know, get in and volunteer just on a weekend or something. What can I say? I am just a dog person through and through. That is just me. So I think even the chance to volunteer at a shelter and just, like, you know, be around dogs would be really good for me. I'd have to try very hard not to take them all, but I'm also very open to the fact that I might volunteer for a while, get to know them, and then at some stage, you know, create a relationship with one of them and decide that that's the dog for me. Again, I've stated the intention and I'm acting in accordance with that. Anyway, I don't want to waffle on for too long here, and I've also got to get ready for football. So let me do that and I'll catch up with you after. Guys, check it out. What do you think of this purple LED lamp that I got for this lounge area? I'm thinking about getting a second one for that side of the sofa, just for some extra ambience. It's dark, but I don't like having the big light on anyways, so I kind of like this. I think it's cool. It sets a really good mood. Anyways, football is done. I've had my dinner, I've had a shower, and I'm gonna get myself ready for bed. Honestly, I did have a couple more bits lined up for this video, but I think I'm gonna save it for the next one, because it's Tuesday evening now and I want to make sure that I get this video up tomorrow evening, so I don't want to have to worry about filming tomorrow as well. Hopefully this video has given you an idea of how I do it for now anyways. I've definitely covered the main thing that I will say for the topic, and that is definitely just, you have to, you know, think about what you actually want your life to look like. Specifically, really like take note of what you want to be integrated into your everyday. From there, it's just a case of making sure that you schedule it and you make time for it. You make it things that you enjoy as well. Like, I think people get the whole idea of scheduling a bit wrong, where they see their schedule as like a prison that they have to abide by, and if they don't, they're a failure. That's just not the case. The best way to think about a schedule is like this, and this is another way to kind of help you stay locked in, is just think about your day tomorrow. For example, what have you got planned tomorrow? And when you think about like how can you create a schedule that works for you, just imagine what can you include tomorrow that would make it a great day. What would make tomorrow a great day? That might be something like, I don't know, maybe you've got some boring admin tasks that need to be done, okay, fine. But also you'll probably find some kind of hobby or leisure in there. Like, if you could have the perfect day tomorrow, it probably would include something that you just really enjoy anyways. And imagine if you could do that. Imagine if you could just do those two things, the boring little bits of admin work that you've been putting off and something that you really enjoy. I guarantee when you get to the evening tomorrow and you're chilling, you'll feel like you had a great day. But the most important thing is that you do keep the needle moving and you do take a small step towards what you want to achieve. But anyways, I really don't want to make this outro too long-winded. I'm extremely tired. It's like 9:22. I want to get ready for bed. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video. I'd like to thank you so much for tuning in. Guys, make sure you stay tuned for these next couple of videos, because I've got some really good stuff coming. September and October are both super exciting months. I actually have some really cool stuff going on, and I really cannot wait to share that with you. Remember to help me get on the creator program so I can make this a full-time thing and bring you more content. So if you do take any enjoyment away from these videos, I'd really appreciate a like and a subscription to the channel. I am really grateful that you would spend some time with me when you could be doing literally anything, and I'm going to do my very best to repay your support by making these videos as good as I possibly can. So thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.